What's up, YouTube dweebs? Welcome to the Nonverbal Honors channel, where today we'll be talking about your mom. I mean, the top 10 most nostalgic game tracks of all time, in my opinion. Nobody else's opinion but mine. Now, today we are joined by Chubby Sonic, and he's been my lifelong partner, and I will have him weigh in on a few thoughts here and there. Now, for all you iPad baby brains, I will try to make this as concise as possible and put as many junk memes in there to keep your attention span. To start off, kind of want to just clarify what makes a nostalgic video game soundtrack. And for me personally, it has to do with games that I grew up playing. Simple as that. Games that I played in elementary school, middle school, high school, college school, no school, home school. Now, when it comes to soundtracks, it's not just the music, but it's also the sounds. Go figure. Such as some voice dialogue or sound effects or whatever it may be. Those are all encompassing when it comes to soundtracks. Some of the video games on this list don't necessarily have a large list of musical numbers on them, but they do have some really nostalgic and iconic sound effects, which I do think put them on this list just because you hear those sound effects and you're instantly brought back to your childhood, like that classic Ratatouille moment. Now, I am curious what your opinions are, so for the tens of you watching this, go ahead and comment. What are your top 10 most nostalgic video game soundtracks, or just any video games that come to mind when it comes to soundtracks you really enjoy? I am curious. I do mean that. But maybe hold off on liking this video for now. I'd hate for you to watch the whole thing, end up not liking it, and then have regret for the rest of your life. So maybe don't like it until the end of the video. All right, number 10, starting off, is Palworld. Number 10, it's gonna be a banger. Chubby Sonic, you know what it is? No? It's Roller Coaster Tycoon, baby. The first Roller Coaster Tycoon for the PC. I don't know if they made a Roller Coaster Tycoon for any other console, but that's what I played it on when I was a wee homunculus. Now, the reason I put this game at number 10 is mainly because of the sound effects. So the main song in this game, or the main track, is the title track, or what you listen to when you open the main menu. And that song is pretty iconic in my opinion. I mean, it's like a classic little carnival fanfare, little jig that makes you feel like a kid again, want to stuff your face with some cotton candy and puke it all up after a good old roller coaster. But that's like the only song in this game, as far as I'm aware. When you're playing the actual game, it's silent unless you are close to roller coasters and listening to what's happening and all the different sound effects going on. So I guess it's not really silent, but there's no music going on. And all the sound effects in this game are really, really iconic in my opinion, and especially all the children screaming when they're on a roller coaster, or when they get done with a fun ride, they like hit the sign and like, you know, that kind of iconic little giggle. And even the crashing noises, you know, it just reminds me of wanting to mess around and build uncompleted roller coasters just to see them go off the track and blow up and annihilate millions of people on the sidewalk and crush millions of hopes and dreams. So yeah, that's my number 10. Number 9 is kind of a strange game, and that's because it's The Sims 2 for the Nintendo DS. Not the 3DS, but the DS. And I don't think a lot of people have played this game or really knew as a thing. It's not a mainline Sims game where you're building your own house and kind of the classic thing you would think of. I got this game when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, thinking it was going to be that is going to be like, oh my gosh, I can create my own house and have my own career and have my own pretend life on the DS. This is legit. You get in the game and you're basically stranded in the desert and your car breaks down, and some old guy named like Old Man Jenkins or something comes up and is like, hey, your car's broke down. Why don't you come into Strangetown and be our mayor? And somehow you wind up being like the mayor of this town and then building it and fighting robots and aliens. It's actually kind of fun. But yeah, it's a weird game like Sims games are, but A lot of the tracks are called like Strange Days, Strange Nights, Strange Encounters of the Third Kind. When you're walking around the town, you definitely feel a little strange. But what sticks out to me in this game is there's parts where you can go to like a little club that you help develop, and there's like a keyboard synthesizer, and you can get up on that keyboard in front of the bar or club or whatever, and you can just start playing music. And it's really rudimentary. You're just playing loops of different instruments and toggling them on and off. But dude, I spent hours doing that. It was so freaking fun. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a musician. So yeah, that game is way fun, especially the moments when like robots come to town and start kidnapping people and blowing things up. Heavy metal music plays, and heavy metal music on the DS, I don't think ever should have existed, but it's kind of funny to listen to. And then when the goons show up, it's like this stereotypical Italian mafia music, which is also just kind of charming in a way. And yeah, that's my number 9. Number 8 is also another game I don't know if a lot of people have played, but it's Battle Tanks 2 for the N64. And for those of you unaware, that stands for Nintendo 64. I also played the crap out of this game when I was a kid. And in this game, there's definitely more music attached to it. So when you open up the main menu, it's this classic kind of metal hard rock song, and the lead guitar sounds like a weird train. It's hard to explain, but it's just very ingrained in my brain for all time. And different levels have their own tracks. Like there's a level you play in Arizona, and there's a train track going by, and there's trains, and I don't know, I guess it's just a lot of train noises. And then the sound effects are also just boom, blast of the past. Now this was the original game where you could get a nuke and just annihilate everyone before Call of Duty stole it. When you get a nuke in this game, you just pop it out of your tank, and it's a little cube, and then this AI lady comes on, she's like, nuke deploy. And then after 3 seconds, boom, everything blows up. And yeah, as a 4th grader, that was my heaven. Number 7, Street Fighter DOS. Now, this game might resonate with a lot of people. Maybe, maybe not. But it's got great music, and it's got great sound effects. The main theme song, when you open up the main menu, also iconic. All these games just have iconic main menu songs. I don't know what it is about the main menu that's so great. But main menu song, and then also Ryu stage, it's pretty cool. I'll be honest, not every single stage or level I remember the theme song for that level, but if I hear it, I know it. And more than anything in this game, it's definitely the sound effects. Ryu sound effects, everybody knows those. The Hadouken, the Shoryuken, the Saptakalaktak, or the spin kick crap. But dude, my main was Blanca all day. He didn't say much, but man, if he bit your face off or electrocuted your balls, you were done. Also, I distinctly remember Dawson's stage, the stretchy guy. He had elephants on his level, and every single freaking time a round was over, those elephants would go. I heard that sound so many times that it actually got annoying. But hey, still nostalgic. Numero 6. Now, Chubby Sonic, do you want to take this away? No? Okay. Numero 6, or number 6, for those of you who don't speak German, is a game called Majesty. Again, another game some people may not even know is a thing. But if you haven't played this game, and you like old computer games, you should play this game 100%. Maybe 101% actually. So Majesty is a unique game in the sense that it's a fantasy sim nerd creator, not creator, but controller, but not controller. It's like an RTS, but not an RTS. It's just a nerd game. And it's cool because you have units, you have your castle, you're the emperor or king over this kingdom. You know, you've got your classic dwarves and rangers and warriors and wizards and other nerd crap that you control to defeat goblins and medusas and cyborg floating head things that shoot lightning and other nerd things. And it's freaking fun. So you don't actually control your units, you just let them walk around and hope they fight things pretty much. But it's a cool way to play kind of an RTS game, if it even is an RTS game, I don't know. But the music in this game, oh my gosh, if you've ever wanted to go back in time, feel like you're in medieval times where you don't have decent hygiene, soap, Netflix, or even just anything to do, then this soundtrack will put you back in that time. There's only a few main songs in this game, but when you start off the game, it's a classic like flutes blaring in your face, and I still play this game to this day. So call me Mega Dweeb, but the music really sucks you into the environment, which a good game should do with a good soundtrack. It just makes the setting very believable. Again, with this game, all the sound effects and dialogue options from the characters that you're controlling or realistically not controlling are pretty good. Like really good voice acting and kind of funny sometimes. So each character has their own unique sound bites, like the classic you recruit a wizard who are supposedly super overpowered but die to rats in half a second. And so if you're recruiting wizards, you'll be hearing, I'm melting! I'm melting! I'm melting! Over and over and over again. Or you got peasants saying, I serve with pleasure. Or of course, you've got your announcer guy or advisor who sounds like a knockoff Sean Connery, who basically is telling you everything that goes on in the game, such as, Your Highness, if our kingdom is to prosper, it needs more heroes. Your Highness, the palace is under siege. So yeah, he's fun to hang out with and get to know. He talks a lot. But yeah, every character in this game, all their actions, there's a lot going on in the game, so every time a character does something, they say something, and it's a very unique soundbite, and you know exactly what that character is doing, such as wizards dying every 2 seconds that they're out in the open world. Can't get sick of that. But yeah, I love this game. All right, number 5. Now this is where we're getting into games that I can actually listen to the soundtrack on its own without playing the game and enjoy it, and again have that kind of Ratatouille moment where it's just like, simpler times, man. So starting off this bottom half of the list, or top half, depending on how you view it, is Age of Empires 2. Now, if you've noticed, I've got a lot of 2s in this list. I guess I just like sequels, but this isn't the last one. Now, Age of Empires 2 is a game that actually inspired me a lot in my musical taste, believe it or not. I'm a musician, amateur musician, but I just love playing music and listening to music, and this game really introduced me to worldly sounds and instruments such as congas and bongos and djembes and those Middle Eastern and African percussion instruments, and even some other stringed instruments like the sitar and other ones that I just can't name. But this game utilizes a lot of instrument variety, which I love so much and I think is fascinating. It's such a well-designed musical soundscape for playing an RTS, and especially an RTS where you're playing globally. Just every level is kind of based on a different part of the world, back in time, and the soundtrack really complements that well. And so I don't know like the names of any of the songs, but there's definitely certain rhythms that get stuck in my head with these different soundtracks. So I don't have much to comment on it because it's hard to explain how music sounds, other than it's an awesome soundtrack. And if you haven't played the game, I encourage you to play it, because they're now releasing it remastered on Xbox and PC, and it's been remastered like 1 billion times, I swear. And is made in like the late 1999 or 2000, and it's still a really popular game. So go check it out. All right, number 4 is another game that I think might resonate with a lot of people because it's been insanely popular ever since it came out, and that game is Palworld. I mean, Minecraft. Minecraft came out, what, a decade ago, give or take, and still insanely popular. I didn't play this game as a kid necessarily. I think it came out when I was in middle school, but I started playing it when I was like a junior or senior in high school. Like a lot of people thinking it's just a dorky kids game, but it uses somewhat of an unconventional soundscape in the sense that it's very stripped down and simplistic, using, only a few types of instruments in each song, such as like a steel drum, or some songs only have a piano accompanied to it. And when you're mining, it becomes a very trancing soundtrack that gets you lost in the game. It does its job. You sometimes don't even notice it until you start paying attention and you're like, hey, this song kind of slaps. I could look that soundtrack up, listen to all those songs. The old songs, of course, not the new crap that's been created by some weirdo. And yeah, I could definitely put this soundtrack on shuffle if I'm just kind of hanging out, vibing on a drive, want to get lost in my thoughts. Yeah, it slaps booty cheeks. All right, number 3. Now, when it comes to number 3, there's a few different games I wanted to pick for number 3 that are a part of this series. And I just decided to pick one game, even though some of the other games really could be here as well. And that's because it is Palworld. I mean, Pokemon Ruby. And Pokemon Ruby, the reason I picked it versus Diamond and Pearl or Black and White, or even over the original Gold and Silver and Blue, Red, Green, Yellow, Turquoise, because this is the first game in the series where the soundtrack really developed in kind of a full orchestra instead of just 8-bit sounds. Even though it's not incredibly well recorded or anything like that, because it's just for the Game Boy Advanced, it still feels more complete in that orchestral sense. And so you've got soundtracks like when you're facing gym leaders, you've got horns, and it's intense and it's really exciting, and it just sucks you into that groove of just really wanting to annihilate the enemy's Pokemon, and just become the best that ever was. What's cool about Pokemon, as it always has been, is every new city or route you enter into, it's a new soundscape, it's a new environment, it's a new theme. And a city that sticks out to me in this game as actually kind of surprising me when I first played it as a kid is the theme song for Slateport City. It's a high energy fanfare, kind of Jubilee style, that just makes you excited to enter into this city. And every other city is a little more laid back and kind of calm and peaceful, and this is just like, no, in your face, it's happening. This is like the port city, man. It's like New York, I don't know. But so yeah, and then a lot of the other cities, I won't go into a ton of detail, but it's just literally every song, every encounter, I remember it very distinctly. If I hear this soundtrack, it brings a tear to my eye. All right, number 2. I think it's fitting that I put another 2 for number 2, and that's because it's Halo 2. Now, Halo 2 as my number 2, I could have put it at number 1. Really, the number 1 and number 2 slots could be interchanged, but I had to put Halo at number 2 because it's Halo 2. Halo 2 is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. It was composed in an orchestral environment. Martin O'Donnell composed the soundtrack, which I think a lot of people are very familiar with. And it made an already cool soundtrack in Halo 1 and just built upon it and made it a lot better without changing too much, and just kind of keeping the original attitude and atmosphere of the first game. And what I mean by that is, again, going to the title track, the theme song, they have Steve Vai playing lead guitar on it, and he does an incredible job. And at first you're kind of like, really, like, lead guitar, is that a little pretentious? But dude, then it gets really rocking, and you just want to be the Master Chief and squish all the grunts. It's kind of funny if you watch the documentary where they record this, where they have Steve Vai record for the theme song. He's talking and he's like, he talks about it. He's like, yeah, I had no idea Halo was even a thing. And then he comes into the studio and is listening to the soundtrack for what seems to be the first time, and then just starts noodling over it, coming up with ideas. And a lot of like his first ideas he noodles with, that sounds wrong, end up actually being in the final version of the song, which from a composing standpoint, I think is kind of incredible. Just shows how much of an amazing guitarist he is. So yeah, that's a cool documentary to check out if you haven't seen it. So again, I have so many memories with the soundtrack. Funny story, when I was taking my AP English finals in high school, it was early in the morning and I blasted this song in my car to get pumped up, and I got a lot of looks in the parking lot, but hey, I think I kind of passed that final. Whatever, I had a good time. All right, number one, the last but not least, but definitely last. Number one is Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Did that shock anyone? I don't think so. But this game, I had to put at number one because although Halo has an amazing soundtrack, the soundtrack in Ocarina of Time is so distinct and unique that every single location you go to is very memorable. It's one of the most enjoyable soundtracks to listen to, in my opinion, of any video game, which is hard to do for a video game because you're constantly looping the track and you have to make it enjoyable enough to where it's not annoying if you're stuck in a part and you have to listen to the same music for 4 hours. Now, I know a lot of people probably agree that this is one of the best soundtracks of all time. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're a hater and you're like, no, it's overrated. But a lot of the great songs, which a lot of people know, are The Lost Woods or Gerudo Valley, I think is probably one of the most iconic. And Hyrule Field. Hyrule Field's such a great song because you enter and immediately it's like starting a brand new adventure and I'm excited for life and this is fun, yay! And then it turns to night and there's silence, there's no music. And I just think that's a nice touch because it makes night even more eerie in that game. But those are some of the more well-known songs. Even when you go into a house, it's like a very noticeable and memorable soundtrack. We're like, I'm definitely in a house. But the song that's always stuck in my head, I find it to be one of the most interesting tracks because it's only in one location in the game. Technically two, but it's in one main location, which is the potion shop at Lake Hylia, or Lake Hylia, however you pronounce it. And it's, you walk into the potion shop with the weird old guy or old lady, and it's just a very kind of slow-paced, like sitar and I don't know, congas or djembe or whatever it is. I had that track stuck on loop in my head even to this day. But yeah, even the fast travel songs are just really well written, which is impressive because they're all based off of 5 notes that you can do on the N64 controller, and they're all very unique and distinctive and sound great. My favorite is Nocturne of Shadow. I think that's a really cool, eerie vibe. And then whatever the Spirit Temple fast travel song is, I think that one's cool too. But yeah, all the different temples have their own atmosphere. The Forest Temple is a really cool environment where the main theme is kind of apparitions and ghosts. The mini bosses are Pose. The main boss is the Ghost of Ganondorf. And the music sounds like little spirits or ghosts in the background going doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. But yeah, so many great pieces of music in that game, as well as sound effects such as Link screaming every time you do something, or jumping or rolling or whatever. So yeah, not too much else to say about that game. I'm not diving too deep, just kind of an overview of what I like, and that's definitely my number one. Anyway, that's my top 10. If you agree, then tell me that you agree. If you disagree, tell me that you disagree. I actually want to know your opinions in the comments. And if you like this video, then yeah, like it. If you don't like this video, please don't dislike it. That would just be so rude. But if you want to subscribe, that'd be great. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Peace out.